Hey guys, Techify, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Logitech G502 Lightspeed. It's about $110 or £100 in the UK. And while it's not the most new or trendy mouse, the reason I'm taking a look at it is because I personally bought it as my new daily driver, and now I've used it for a bit, I think I'm qualified enough to give you a detailed review. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If you do enjoy the video though, please consider subscribing to the channel, I'd really appreciate that. But without further ado, let's get into this. Right off the bat, Logitech makes you feel like you've bought an expensive product. The unboxing experience was very premium. In the box you get the mouse itself, a micro USB charging cable and a weights box which also has the wireless receiver inside. Obviously you get your welcome booklet, instruction manual and things like that. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the cable because obviously this is a wireless mouse, but the micro USB cable was braided, it was a very high quality as you'd expect with something of this price point, and it plugs in really deeply into the mouse, so when it's plugged in you can't tell the difference between just a wired mouse. The wireless receiver can be plugged directly into your PC, or you can use the included adapter to plug it into the end of the micro USB cable. What this means is you have the receiver on the desk right next to the mouse, so you get that best connection possible and reduce the latency even further. Now I'm sure this would actually have a negligible effect, but it is nice that they do this. The other advantage is then the micro USB cable is on your desk, for when you do need to charge the mouse you can plug it in nice and easy. You can then put the receiver into the bottom of the mouse in the compartment so that you don't lose it. I've never had a single connectivity issue with this mouse. As soon as I turn on my PC it's connected and ready to use. There's no latency or anything like that. Wireless technology has really come a long way. Equally as important, the battery life is also very good. So about 2 weeks ago I fully charged this mouse and I've used it every day in some capacity, whether that just be for an hour or two in the evening or just a lot throughout the day, and it's only lost about 60% battery, which is pretty good. Logitech claim this mouse will last for 60 hours if you have no lights on or 48 hours with the lights on, which is a very long time, especially since it charges so quickly. On just a standard USB 2.0 port, 5 minutes of charging will give you 2.5 hours of playtime. The battery life on the G502 Lightspeed is therefore undeniably impressive, and that's what I really like. I get to use a wireless mouse without having to worry about charging it much, especially if you get the Logitech PowerPlay mouse mat, which this mouse is compatible with. That means you can wirelessly charge the mouse on Logitech's mouse mat, and therefore you'll never have to charge at all. If you subscribe to the channel, I'll have a review of the PowerPlay mouse mat coming soon, because I definitely think that's something I'd like to get. I think wireless technology has come an extremely long way. There are no longer concerns about latency or battery life, and I would even say it's matured enough that there are no major concerns and there are a lot of benefits to using a wireless mouse. I personally like the way the mouse feels with no wire. It gives you a consistent movement, there's never any pushback, drag or anything like that. It's much better than using a mouse with a mouse bungee, and I definitely recommend you try a wireless mouse for gaming or just using it for daily usage if you can get the chance. I'd love to know what you guys think though, so let me know in the comments. Do you think wireless mice are good and you'd want one, or do you still swear by a wired mouse? Let me know. If you've watched any other reviews, me buying this mouse for myself may come as a bit of a surprise for you, because I've made it very clear that I like a light mouse. And while this is true, I did remember when I had my original G502 4 years ago, I really liked the mouse for its shape and it just felt really good. So I thought I'd give it a go again with the G502 Lightspeed. Logitech has managed a 7 gram weight reduction over the wired G502 Hero, down to just 114 grams. However, this obviously still doesn't make it a light mouse. Having no wire though does make it feel very light and much more agile. It does take a lot of weight away from it. You can also add an additional 16 grams of weight in the bottom of the mouse to customise it however you want with the included weights. The build quality as a whole is very good, it feels very high quality, the plastics are lovely to touch and so are the rubber grips. They also don't feel like they're going to wear out anytime soon. The G502 is 132mm long, 75mm wide and 40mm high. This does make it on the larger side of gaming mice, so those with particularly small hands may struggle regardless of your grip style. My hands are about 17cm by 8.5cm, which are relatively small. I could just about comfortably use it, however if your hands are significantly smaller than mine, then this mouse probably isn't great for you. I can only just use the sniper button comfortably with my thumb, so although it's not the most important button, I think that's a good gauge that if you can't reach that, the mouse is probably too big for you. It's been very well designed to suit all different grip styles. It's comfortable to palm, claw and fingertip. I'm personally a claw user, but the larger design has given me a slightly flatter grip, which is closer to palm, and then using a bit of fingertip now and then, but it just works for me really well. Fingertip users may once again have trouble reaching the sniper button unless you have particularly large hands. There are also plenty of other buttons though, so for most people you can live without it. I certainly would be able to. The G502 Lightspeed uses Logitech's Hero sensor, which can use up to 16,000 dpi, which should be way more than enough for anyone. It felt very accurate, responsive and precise, and it was a really big pleasure to use. In addition to this, the lift-off distance was extremely low, tracking up to just a height of 2 playing cards, and that really helped me adjust to the higher weight, as I didn't have to lift it up as much when I wanted to readjust the mouse. There was no distinguishable difference between a wired mouse, and like I said before, there's no latency or anything like that. It really is very impressive how far wireless technology has come. The primary mouse clicks were very satisfying to use. They were fast and responsive, and in my opinion took the right amount of force to use. Here's a little sound test for those of you who are interested of the left click and of the right click. In total, this mouse features 11 programmable buttons, which is a lot. The 2 primary mouse clicks, a DPI changing button, 2 thumb buttons, the sniper button, 2 buttons on the side of the mouse click, the scroll wheel click, and the scroll wheel can lean from side to side, giving another 2 buttons. The idea of the sniper button is that when you press it you can switch to a lower DPI temporarily for more accurate sniper shots or just other precise aiming. And while this does sound like a cool feature, I've never personally used it, never will, I don't see any use for it. But let me know, have you guys used this or think you'd have an interest for using it? Personally, I just use it as an additional thumb button. On the bottom of the mouse you have plenty of feet. This means there's lots of surface area contact with the mouse mat, and it helps it just glide really smoothly and feel agile despite the higher weight. And without the wire it moves even more consistently. My only concern is that on my original G502 the feet did wear out relatively quickly. I did have the mouse for quite a while, but it wasn't that long, and especially for a mouse you're paying a lot of money for, I would expect them to last a bit longer. It'll be interesting to see if that happens again. Feet are easily findable online for this mouse since it's very popular and has been through multiple generations. However, for this price point I would have actually liked to see some replacement feet included. The scroll wheel on this mouse is really cool. So it's metal and has a really cool design, which means you can see through bits of it, and if you align the spokes right it even looks like it's floating. Unlike the original G502 they added a rubber topper, which in my opinion was a good addition and I appreciate it being added. The scroll wheel performance wise scrolls distinctly between each ticks. I never, in my opinion anyway, have had issues double scrolling or in game selecting the wrong weapon because I've scrolled too far or it's not scrolled, so I think it's really good on that front. It also has the cool feature which Logitech likes to advertise, where you can unlock the scroll wheel with this button behind it and scroll it really fast for a long period of time. While this does have limited practical uses, it does have some, so like really large web pages or personally folders full of lots of files. Let's say if I plug a camera in full of pictures, I can scroll to the bottom relatively quickly. It is also just a lot of fun to play with. Here as well is a little sound test of the scroll wheel. So here's it scrolling, clicking, side to the left, right, and with it unlocked, it's big scroll. The Logitech G502 Lightspeed is also a Logitech Light Sync mouse, so it's fully RGB and has across 2 RGB zones, the logo and the DPI indicator. You can turn the DPI indicator to always on in the Logitech G Hub software, which I have done. It just gives you that extra bit of light. However, if you don't have 3 different DPIs set up and then have it on the 3rd level, so the highest level, only one light or however which DPI level you're on respectively will light up, so it doesn't really add a lot. In addition to this, there's no fancy light bar like the G502 Lightspeed, which I recently reviewed, so the effects are limited. It's obviously still a great looking mouse, but you're not buying this because the RGB lights look really cool. A feature I like is the low battery effect, so you can customise it, but mine for instance is the default and it will breathe red when the battery is below 15%. The mouse also has 6 onboard memory profiles, which is obviously a nice feature to have, especially with it being a wireless mouse and being more portable, so you don't have to install the Logitech G Hub software if you use it with different devices. One thing I recommend personally is once you've got a profile configured that you know you're going to keep, store it to the mouse and turn the mouse to onboard memory mode. This means you don't have to wait for Logitech G Hub software to start at startup, or you can even disable it running at startup to improve your boot times, and your mouse will be instantly at your correct settings. Overall, I think the Logitech G502 Lightspeed is a great mouse, and I'm really happy with my purchase. But obviously it's not cheap, and if I had any major criticisms at this price point, I'd be disappointed and sending it back. It is compatible with all grip styles fairly well, like I said, but just don't forget it is on the larger side, so if you have particularly small hands, you may be uncomfortable using it. It is unfortunate with mice because there's something, it's very much down to preference and you've got to try lots. However, obviously if you have to buy one each time, that is quite inconvenient. So if you know somewhere where you can go try one out, I definitely recommend doing that first. It's also not particularly lightweight, however the lack of a wire and low lift-off distance really does help with that. It is just something to consider. It very much does feel different from an ultralight gaming mouse if that's something you're used to. But I do think wireless technology has come a long way. Like I said, there's no issues with latency, connectivity or anything like that nowadays, and the battery life is very good. The fact I only have to charge it, I'm going to say once every 3 weeks for my usage, is very good and it makes it a very appealing option. I'm personally a huge fan of wireless mice now, and I definitely think everybody should give them a try if they get the chance. If you found this video helpful, please leave a thumbs up and even consider subscribing to the channel. You can get yourself some cool Techify merch at techify.co.uk/merch. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. For your next video, I recommend you watch our Logitech G502 Lightspeed review. It's a lot cheaper, but it's still a Logitech high quality mouse, and I definitely think you should check it out. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.